In this episode, we are going to talk about a conversation that I had with someone that spent, I think, $35,000 on their mobile unit and they still don't have a business. And this is going to be a very interesting conversation because this is what makes the difference between when you grow your business and when you don't. And specifically, what you can do or how you should think about your budget when it comes to starting and growing your business. And if you are interested in actually growing and marketing your own business, you can click the link down below and sign up for my self-paced course called SEO for Detailers. We offer it as a service. If you're interested in that, you can also click the link down below and book a call. But the course, you're able to learn everything you need to do to rank your website on your own at your own pace. Versus our marketing services, where the entry level service starts at $400 per month. So whether you're just getting started, whether you're already established, whatever it is, but you want to focus more on marketing, whether you want me to handle it for you or you want to learn how to do it yourself, you can click the link down below to learn more. So let me ask you, if you had $35,000 to start your business, what would you do with it? Right? Is $35,000 enough to get the ball rolling, to get things kind of get the momentum building in your business? So with this one, so I talk to a lot more detailers now on the phone because of the marketing services that we offer. It's a 35-minute call and we kind of see if we're a good fit. But through that, I've been able to gain a lot more insights and talk to a lot of people in vast ranges of where they are in their life and in their business. And it's really, it helps me get a different perspective in terms of how people are going about starting their business. So, as a general kind of statement, it's people are a lot more willing and, they're a lot more free in terms of like, they're a lot more open to spending money on the tools, the products, the training, the van, the tangible items, the physical products, because realistically, it's kind of like, you're when you start your business and you're new to detailing, you think you really have to go all in on the detailing side. So you want to get the best brands, the best polishers. You want to go and get trained for detailing, correction, coating, maybe even window tint. You want to get a van that's wrapped, that's fully equipped. And at face value, you look at that as the important thing because you're like, okay, so I'm gonna start the detailing business, so I need all these things, and I want to get all this here, and I don't want to skimp out on brands, and I want to get the Rupes, and I want to get the Kranzel, and I want to get the van, and I want to get this, and it's so easy to spend the money on tools, products, right? The tangible items that you can actually grab and feel and see, because you're like, oh, that's part of the business, right? Like I need all these things, and it comes down to like, it's also the easy part to do, right? Because if I tell you, hey, go run Facebook ads, you're like, okay, so how do I do that? And where, let me sign up for Meta, and let me, like, what's this campaign, and what's this optimizing, and what's this, and what's this, and what's that? And it's just a lot of like more brain work of like, okay, let me go watch videos, read blog posts, let me see what this is, let me spend money on ads, what's a landing page, and how do I write copy, and what's a sales funnel? And it's a lot of soft skills, basically, right? Soft skills in terms of like, it's not hard skills in terms of like like a specific thing of like, I'm gonna learn how to just polish paint. There's soft skills in terms of it's on the computer. It's things that you don't really see other than you're just sitting at the laptop and working on that. So it's a lot easier to spend money on the tools, the products, the training, because it's quite frankly, it's also easier. Also, it's the fun part, right? Like you order whatever polisher, Flex, Rupes, Agrees, and you're like, oh, I can't wait for that to come in. The color's nice. It looks so cool. And you order all these pads. So it's the easier and it's the fun part of the business side of ordering all these things, right? Now I spoke to, and I have my notes here. So I spoke to someone that spent around $40,000 on a fully equipped van. And that van had everything that it needed. It had the tools, the product, because they purchased it from like another business that I guess they stopped detailing. So they were selling off the van, and it came with everything. And it was built by a reliable, like, mobile rig builder. So it was a great van. Like the person that built it, high quality. The van itself was high quality. So it was all indeed like it was a quality mobile unit that they were purchasing. So it had the tools, the product, the compressor, the pads, everything that you need. And all in all, I think it was like $40,000. I don't remember the exact make or everything that was in there, but it was basically like, okay, like you really don't need anything else. I mean, I hope you don't, after you spend $40,000 on this thing. Now, now here's the thing that kind of gets me. Here's the thing that kind of eye opening. And I say this in the sense of this is something that you have to look out for when you're either starting your business or you want to continue to grow your business. Because this, I was speaking to this person because they wanted to sign up for services. I mean, they were interested in the marketing services, and so we go to talk about, what they do, or what their plans are, what their goals are, if they have a full-time job, how long they're going to stay there, what's their revenue goal, what services are they offering now, what services do they want to offer in the future, and kind of just going over and getting a strong understanding of where they are and such. So we get to the spiel, and I kind of I give my last little. It's not a pitch, but I just give you the information about the service. And I always push towards the lower service if you're just starting, based on a few other criteria. It's like just start with the most basic, the most entry level service that we have, and that service is at $400 a month. Okay, and I won't get into the details of all that, but just know that I was like, okay, like based on where you are, like if you did want to do this, I'd start with the most our entry level service. It's $400 a month, and the interesting thing is that they said, like, okay, well, I have to think about it because I'm not really making any money with my detailing business right now. So that's something that I'll probably wait until summertime to start doing. Which again, to me, absolutely fine. I have no issue with that. What's eye opening, and this is what I've spoken about in the past as well, is that there's no one decision that makes or breaks your business, but it's all decisions that lead up to your business either growing or not growing, right? And in this specific situation, what I found so interesting is that they were able to spend, 40, 45, whatever it was, $40,000 on this mobile unit. Now, they have a full-time job, so they only detail on the weekends. They want to leave their job and go full-time with detailing. And, he purchased this unit, I think out of state, for $40,000, let's call it, right? He also went to go get trained and spent, I think, like $3,000 on training somewhere, right? So let's say all in all, so far, you spent $45,000 on the van, the equipment, the tools, the training, right? And again, I'm not putting this in the perspective of my service. I'm putting it in the perspective of growing your business. So then when it came to making the decision of, hey, do you now spend $400 a month to market your business, to build and optimize your website, to get leads in the future? They said, "Oh, well, that's a bit too much. I have to wait to make money to afford that." Again, I'm not worried about like paying me or anything. But the interesting part here is that they just spent around $45,000 on getting the entire business set up with the van, with the tools, with the training. But when it came to spending money on the one thing that will actually bring them customers, it was too much for them. Again, just coming off the bat of spending $45,000 on a van and training. And it's one of those things where, like, instead of spending $45,000 on that, you could have spent, even on the high end, $5,000 to get your initial mobile rig setup. Not the van, but more so the equipment, the tools, the products, the equipment, right? Instead of purchasing a dedicated van, which you can't even use that much because you're only detailing on the weekends because you have a full-time job, you can just work out of your personal vehicle, right? Because at this point, you just added, call it $40,000 of debt. Even if you paid it off cash, it makes no difference because you just spent $40,000 in one go, or let's say it's on a loan. You just went $40,000 in debt. That doesn't push the business forward. Like you don't start making more money, or you don't start expanding your business, or you don't get to leave your job now just because you have this $40,000 van with all the tools and products and the training, right? Whereas if you would have spent, and even $5,000 on the high end to get what you need, but $5,000 to get the tools, products that you need, forego the training because you don't need that. You can learn on your own. You use your personal vehicle to get started. And then let's say you take another $5,000 of that, whether it's paying for the $400 service, whether you're paying $800 for a service, whether you learn it all yourself, whether you spend that $5,000 on Google Ads, you're still under $12,000 across that setup. That will actually get you more customers faster. You'll spend less money than the $40,000, and it actually pushes your business forward. So the very interesting thing is that they were so willing to spend $40,000 on these tangible things because that they thought like, hey, that's what I need for a business. But then when it came to the business part of, hey, how do I grow my business now? And it's going to be $400 a month. It's like, okay, that's too expensive. Let me wait on that. I was just like, oh wow, that's so very interesting, right? I'm not coming from a place of like they're wrong or like they should have signed up with me. It's very interesting to see that perspective because again, like over the next 10 years, these are the kind of decisions that alter your business, right? Because again, same thing with me. If in 2011, instead of leaving my job and doing all these things and going back and forth through with a job, if in 2011 I would have just stayed at my job and then I would have started marketing right then that very same day, over the next 2 years, I would have been able to leave my job. My schedule would have been booked out and I would have been making a lot more money. Instead, there was about a 3-4 year gap of me struggling, going back and forth, not knowing what to do, because I wasn't focused on the right things. Whereas in 2014, I started focusing on the right things. And by 2015, I left my job. My schedule was fully booked out and I was actually making money. Now, the time difference here is not a factor. I mean, in terms of it shouldn't have been a factor, right? Like if it took me 3 to 4 years to get to that point, had I known had I known what I should have done, I could have closed that 3-4 year gap to 1 year. And instead of in 2015, I'm starting to get busy, I could have had that happen in 2012. So I could have erased 3-4 years of learning if I just would have known what to focus on. So the same thing with here where, you know, instead of spending $40,000 on just a van that doesn't push your business forward, it doesn't get you customers, that doesn't make you money, that doesn't help you leave your day job, literally 1/4 of that, which is 10,000, right? Yeah, 1/4 of that spent on the right things at the right time would far push your business much further than just spending $40,000 on a van. And again, over the next 10 years, when you're coming to these forks of a decision. And of course, like, you know, you're not going to know unless you know. You're not going to know unless you get the experience. You're not going to know unless you've already gone through some, you know, you have more experience under your belt. But these are the things that change your business one way or the other, right? Like another thing I wish I would have done is got into film services much sooner because that has opened up a big, you know, a profit margin generator for us, or profit generator for us in the business, right? And that's something I wish I would have done, you know, 5 years ago. So these are the things that, again, and this would change at different levels, at different phases of your business, right? When you hire your first person, when you learn how to create systems in your business, when you learn how to properly price and budget your working hours and labor, when it comes to setting up, you know, like your proper bank accounts and your proper financials, when it comes to actually, you know, signing up someone as a legit W-2 employee and paying taxes and all that. Like all these things will come at different times. So it's not like you can literally do everything all at once and be like, okay, like now I'm good. It's going to come in phases based on where you are in your business, right? But like in this specific example, right there on the, you know, still at the day job, still don't have the customers or the revenue, their decision was, hey, let's spend $40,000 just on this van, and we won't spend anything else on the business because like we don't have the money for it. So again, you know, this is $40,000. It could be 15, it could be 25, it could be 10. But don't get so stuck to an idea of spending X amount of money on X amount of things just because you had already planned it, right? Like if you have $5,000 to spend, and as of right now you have a $5,000 budget to spend all of that on tools and products, and I would highly recommend you reconsider that because you don't need to do that, right? Like with the limited budget that you have, which, you know, technically everyone has a limited budget. $40,000 is a limited budget, right? Because it's not infinite. But with the budget that you have, what can you do to extend that budget, right? And get you to produce revenue now. Like for instance, the way you extend it is that by you don't only use it up to pay this one thing. Like for instance, on, you know, if you have $5,000 and you start spending, just making up an example here, don't go do it, and you start spending $500 a month in Google ads, right? Well, the idea would be if you just spend $500 a month and you have, what did I say? And you have $5,000, I think. I said that, right? I think I said that. If you have $5,000 to spend on marketing and you're going to spend it on Google ads, and you can spend $500 a month for 10 months, right? So you have 10 months of ad spend. Now, the way that you would extend that is because now of those leads that you get, you'll end up booking some of them. So you'll be able to recoup your cost, right? And that's how you extend it. If 1 month you make $1,000. Keep things simple. If you make $1,000 in 1 month, well, now you can keep on running the ads for the 11th month, so 12, because now you're actually producing revenue and you're recouping what you're spending. Versus if you just spend $40,000 on a van, you can't recoup that, right? Yes, it's an indirect thing that you need to run your business. But what I'm saying is, well, on top of the $40,000 that you just spent on your van, you still need to spend the $5,000 or $500 a month to get customers. So now, be like, if you only needed to make $5,000 to break even on the $5,000 ad spend, well, if you have a $40,000 van plus the $5,000 in ad spend, well, you need to make at least $45,000. Not literally in 1 year, because you could, you can extend that. But let's say that the half the cost of the van. Let's say now 20,000. So now you have to make $25,000 for that year to break even before you get into like actually making money. Whereas if you allocate your resources better, you can recoup that cost a lot quicker, and you can extend your initial budget. And that's super important. Like, I don't want you, I don't want you to have it. I don't want you to think the excuse is like, oh, I don't have enough money to get started. Because a lot of times the money's not the issue. Like, have you seen, and I'll just pull it up right now. Hopefully I don't mess anything up, but biggest, and I'm doing this live, biggest flops in movie history with big budgets. And this is a perfect example. And we can do this with companies as well. Let's see here. So, and these are movies with the biggest flops. So I'll just, let's see here. Okay, so like the Chronicles of Riddick. No, this is not good. Not a good list. Anyways, okay, so let's just do this. So Battleship, which came out in 2012, had a budget of $200 million, and it was a flop in the box office. Cutthroat Island, which came out in 1995, had a budget of $100 million, and it was estimated that it lost $210 million. So if we're strictly looking at, oh, you need money to be successful, it's not the only formula, because money in itself, don't get me wrong, more money typically just means more resources or more help and more everything, right? So for sure that, like, if you could start with $10,000 versus $1,000, I'll give you that. Of course, 10,000, you have a lot more flexibility. You have a lot more wiggle room. You have a lot more things that you can do or test or just spend on, right? But regardless, money in itself is not the main thing that's going to shift your business. Like, if you have $1,000 right now, and you're saying, man, if only I had $5,000, that $4,000 difference is not the reason why you haven't started your business, or why you're not getting customers, or why you're not making more money, right? Like, it's not the difference. Let's see here. Biggest companies with large funding that went out of business. So now let's talk about let's look at businesses now. Jawbone, a company that received $930 million in funding for its fitness trackers, headsets, and wireless speakers. And I guess they closed down. Yeah. So this company, Jawbone, and I think I remember them. They received almost $1 billion in funding, and they weren't successful, right? And again, like, this is just to show you the example of, like, don't use the excuse of like, oh, if I only had more money. Well, there's companies out there that had $1 billion in funding. There's movies out there that had $200 million in budget, and they still flopped. They still didn't work out. They still went belly up. They still couldn't turn a profit. Why? Because they have plenty of money. They have enough money to go hire whatever engineers and product specialists and marketers and CEOs, and they had all the money for it. Then why does it still go belly up? Why isn't it by default? Why aren't they just successful? Did they need $2 billion? Did they need $400 million for the movie? Right? Do you really need a 10,000 over the 3,000 that you have right now? I don't think so. I'm going to highly bet that you don't need that as big of a budget to go and start your business or grow your business or do whatever it is that you want to do. Like, you really have to allocate your resources. So if you have, again, $5,000 and you're saying, okay, making up numbers here, 2,000 of this is going to go to that training that I want to go take, right? I don't know, pain correction, whatever the case may be. If you have a $5,000 budget and you're going to spend 2,000 of that on training, if you are proactive, if you say, okay, what's the plan here? What's going to push my business forward? I would rather say, okay, instead of spending $2,000 on training, assuming you already have the tools and products for it, right? I'm going to practice and watch every single video that I can for the next 60 days. And I would try every single combination and every single compound and every single thing that I have. I'll watch every video to try to get the results that I want to do and elevate my skills like that. Once I do that, I now have an additional $2,000 I can spend on marketing because it was initially going to go to the training. And remember, if it's $2,000 for the training, it's still not $2,000, right? If you're flying in, you gotta you gotta pay for the airport or for the plane. If you're staying 1 or 2 nights, that's the hotel, right? If you do have a day job or maybe you're taking time out of your business, you're no longer making revenue on those days because you're out there getting trained. Um, so call it might be $3,000 in total that you spend to go there and back. So now, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to spend $2,000 on training, keep that 2,000, improve the skills yourself, learn a new skill of learning how to run marketing on Google Ads or Meta Ads, and you are able to develop your own or your own leads. And now that $5,000 budget can extend much further, actually help you grow your business and have a much bigger impact on what you're doing. Right? And again, there's a time and place for everything. We're not against training, right? Lex has gotten trained. I've gone to get trained. Angel has gone to 3 training classes to get trained. One was a 2-day, one was a 3-day, 2 or 2 days. Lex was online. Mine was a 2-day. Like, we go get trained, but there's a time and place for it, right? It's not just saying, oh man, well, I just want to be the best, and I want to go get trained by the best. Because again, like another thing about training is when you go and get trained, I mean, you're still not a master at the skill. Granted, like for us, I highly talk about, I highly encourage people to get trained for film services because it's such a different service to do. But for detailing, it's like, even if you go get trained, you still got to come back home and practice every day because the mastery comes in the reps, not in the initial training. So even if you are super hyped up with the training and you go get trained, well, if you practice how to wet sand or use a rotary or do paint correction, you still got to come back and practice that over and over. You're not just going to, if you're coming from like, I don't know how to do paint correction and you go get trained, you don't come back to your house saying, I know how to do paint correction. You still got to practice a lot to get that at point of mastery, or at least get to the point of being comfortable and confident with your services that you can offer it to customers and get paid on it, So again, like obviously I can't think of every single scenario because each person will have their own unique little situation in terms of what they're doing. But really, I mean, just look at what you're doing right now and just look at like, what can you do to extend your budget, to extend whatever it is that you have? What can you do right now that, I mean, the key thing is like, what will actually push your business forward? Like, what is it that's going to take you from where you are right now and get you 2 steps ahead or 1 step ahead? Maybe not 1 step ahead. Let's go for at least 2 steps ahead. Or 4 steps ahead, like if you go out and you want to go get a truck or a van or something when you're just getting started, you go out, you get that van, you come back, nothing changes. You just added a van that you have to pay insurance on. You have to upkeep with the maintenance and you have to pay gas. Nothing changes in your business. Like literally nothing will change. And on top of that, if you buy the van, well, now you want to get it wrapped. Now you want to get it outfitted. And that's just more and more money. Right. So instead of thinking like, okay, if I have like $25,000, I can go and get this van and get this thing set up and I can go do this. And oh man, it'll look so good. I'll look so professional. I'll get it fully wrapped. After you spend all that, you're still in the same boat. Now, if you say, okay, I have my Toyota Prius that I'm driving, right? Instead of spending, $20,000 on a van, I'll spend no money on a van. I already have all the tools and products. I'll spend $5,000 purely on marketing. You see how that changes in your business, right? Like that has an impact. And again, like whether you're just getting started, you're already growing, you want to, whatever the case may be, like these are the things that impact your business by like that will have a significant impact on your business. So again, I'm not, don't think I'm trying to, I was talking down on this individual. I just really appreciated the perspective of how people are so much more willing and kind of eager to spend money on the detailing, on the products, on the tools, because it's the fun part, right? You want to have a dedicated van, you want to have a wrapped vehicle, you want to have all these nice looking setups and tools and products. So I get it, but it's also the easier part, right? Like it's the easy part to plan out because it's all tangible in front of you. You can go to Amazon and look at all these products. You can go to your local detail store and be like, hey, what do you guys have? And they're going to sell you all these things. Like, oh, okay, yeah, like I really need all this because in my head, like I know what I'm going to do. But then when it comes to actually getting customers, marketing your business, growing your business, getting customers, booking out your schedule. Now it's like, oh, so what I do and what is this? And I'm supposed to do what? And what is that? And I've never heard of this. And how do I do that? It's going to cost this. Then the actual part of like, okay, well, now actually build the business. That's when everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to focus on that. Go get trained again. So yeah, it's very important. Hopefully that story made sense. Hopefully, again, not trying to talk down on the individual or any of that. It was such a good lesson to be like, see, like that's what makes a difference. Like the fork in the road between do I get the van or not was a crucial decision to continue to grow the business. So yeah, hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you took something away from that, and I will end it right there. I'll talk to you guys on the next one.